Hi everyone, so today we are talking about books I recommend if you are interested in witchcraft. If you're watching this video, you're probably also really new to witchcraft, or you're just looking on books that might have more witchcraft topics. I have gotten into witchcraft over the past year, and after going up and down aisles filled with witchcraft books and reading books about witchcraft, these are the books I've picked out that I think are pretty good and are really great places to begin if you're into starting up as being a witch, or if you are just really interested in what witchcraft really is. So getting right into it. A History of Magic, Witchcraft and the Occult. This is the first book I got on the topic, and this book is really great because a lot of witchcraft books, they immediately are like, the Salem witch trials. This book is different because it starts at the beginning of witchcraft. It begins in the ancient times. Moves on to the 1500s, then the 1700s, then more time passes, then it goes into modern magic. But basically the book covers pretty much every topic that witchcraft really can involve, like spells and channeling spirits, magic, tools for practicing witchcraft. There's also a lot more in this. I would go more in depth, but we have other books to talk about, and this book is really illustrated, really good. It's not going to teach you how to perform witchcraft, but it'll teach you what witchcraft really is. But now let's get into books that you could use if you are practicing witchcraft. Get the Modern Guide to Witchcraft, because this book will really teach you what witchcraft is, how it could help you, different types of witchcraft and magic, sacred spaces, altars, shrines, plant magic, crystals, charms, amulets, spells, seasons of the witch, and much, much more. It also debunks things that witches have had to deal with for years, such as slander. If you run into most people, they will probably tell you, witches are so scary, but one of the quotes from this book that I really appreciate is, "Witches are not Satanists who sell their soul to the devil in return for special powers. Lots of witches don't even believe in Satan. He's a Christian concept." Which I really think is important to mention, because a lot of witches get told that they're evil when in reality they're not. But even if witchcraft is or isn't a Christian concept, I feel like the Christians will think that anyone is evil if they're not Christian, because most Christians I've talked to, the second they hear that you believe in a different God besides the Christian God, they assume that you're evil. If you're into doing astrology, you're evil. It's just kind of intense for no reason. So we respect witches around here. But moral of the story, it's a really good book, and I recommend it because I feel like witchcraft is hard to get into, but this book really sums it all up and is really nice to read. It's not boring. But moving on, The Witch's Guide to Manifestation. Witchcraft for the Life You Want. I love this book. I love this book because I think if you use it right, it'll actually work. You don't have to be a witch to practice manifestations, but I've noticed that a lot of witches love to practice manifestation because they already have the power to do so. If you're dabbling in other magic, then obviously you could probably do this type of magic as well. And I feel like the more that you work on casting spells, or the more that you work on manifestations or whatever, I feel like the better you'll get at it. So if you really do want things to improve in your life by using magical spells or anything else, this is a really good book. And next up we have Crystals for Beginners. Crystals for me are really hard to navigate because crystals are so different depending on which crystal it is. Each crystal has a different meaning. So for me, when I got this book, I flipped through it and I literally looked at every single crystal I think would and would not work for me. And then I went ahead and wrote down a list of what crystals I want to have in my life. Because if crystals do hypothetically have energy tied to them, I want to make sure I have the energy that I actually want. So if you're going to be using crystals or practice crystal spells, don't just throw in random crystals and use them. Obviously research what crystals represent and what they symbolize first. This is a really good book to do that. Next up we have Astrology 101, because if you're in tune with nature and the universe, you might also be in tune with astrology. I've noticed that a lot of witches love astrology, and I could see why, because it is a very interesting topic, and it also is like kind of magical, especially if you're casting spells based on numbers, seasons, months, years. You get the vibe, because astrology and the planets, the months, the days, like everything literally matters. One time I ran into a witch and they were like, I could guess your astrology by looking at you. And I was like, sure, do it. And they were like, instantly knew everything about my zodiac sign, which I didn't tell them. They knew my sun sign. They literally knew things I hadn't known. And then I came home and I looked it up and I was like, oh, they were right. Like, they were literally right, like down to the very, like, little detail. It was crazy. Astrology is based on the belief that the movement of the stars and other celestial bodies affect our lives here on Earth. It sounds outlandish. It sounds literally insane if you're, like, not into this stuff, but the more you read about it, the more it makes sense. And lastly, the modern witchcraft book of tarot, or tarot cards. I've heard people pronounce it different ways, but tarot is card readings, and this is written by Sky Alexander. This person actually has a book series dedicated to witchcraft topics, so if you want a really good book, obviously look into the books that this person sells, because they have a lot of books that are dedicated to helping witches. So if you're really interested in any of this information, then obviously look for these books when you go to the next bookstore. But yeah, I hope this really helped out. Witchcraft really varies from person to person. Like, some witches perform astrology, some people don't even believe in it. Other witches use crystals, other witches don't use crystals at all. Witchcraft isn't, I'd say, strict. If you're a witch, you could just practice what works best for you, what spells work best for you. So obviously, if you're going to be working on witchcraft, I would just say maybe get one or two of these books, read more into it, see what works for you and what you feel comfortable doing and what you really enjoy, and then just go from there. But yeah, I hope this was really useful. I will see you guys in the next video. And if you are interested in supporting the channel, then please subscribe. And if you are even more interested in supporting the channel, then please go to my PayPal, Cash App, or Amazon wish list. But anyways, I will see you guys next week. Bye!